You believe they care for you because they smile. You believe they are loyal because they stand beside you. But what if I told you that friendship, as you imagine it, is a dangerous illusion? That behind the wine, the laughter, and the warm embraces lies something far colder, far more calculated. Today, I will reveal what they have hidden from you, the truth that will change how you see every friend in your life. I am Niccolò Machiavelli, and I have seen the courts of princes and the back alleys of power. I have watched men swear loyalty in the morning and conspire against their allies before nightfall. Understand this, friendship is not as poets describe it, nor as the foolish dream of it. In politics, in business, and in life, friendship is rarely born of pure affection. It is a bargain, a contract, and often a trap. Today, we will dissect the lie of friendship and uncover the real forces that govern human bonds, so you may navigate them without falling victim to their hidden teeth. Friendship is rarely the fruit of the heart. It is the offspring of utility. A man calls another his friend not because he loves him in the way poets dream of, but because in him he finds a certain usefulness. This usefulness might be wealth, influence, protection, or even the comfort of not walking alone through life. But you must understand something crucial. When the usefulness fades, so too will the friendship. The smile will fade, the words will dry, and the bond you thought was eternal will begin to rot without you even noticing at first. This is not cruelty. It is simply how men are made. Consider for a moment your own history. Recall those you once called your closest friends. Ask yourself, why did you bond? Was it shared struggle, shared victories, or perhaps shared enemies? In every case, you will find a thread, a benefit, that tied you together. Perhaps they gave you advice when you were lost. Perhaps they introduced you to people you needed to know. Perhaps they made you feel important when you doubted yourself. All these things are forms of usefulness. And while you enjoyed their company, it was this usefulness, even if unspoken, that bound the two of you. But utility is a fickle thing. You may have noticed that when your position in life shifted, when you lost a job, changed your ambitions, or could no longer offer what you once did, certain friends began to drift away. They no longer called as often. Their excuses became more frequent. The bond you thought was forged in unbreakable steel revealed itself to be made of wax, soft and melting under the heat of changing circumstances. And yet, this should not be cause for bitterness. It should be cause for clarity. You see, the problem is that most people imagine friendship as something pure, untouched by need or gain. They believe the bond exists for its own sake, as if loyalty and affection could stand without reason. This is a dangerous illusion. When you walk into any relationship thinking it is purely emotional, you blind yourself to the reality that human connections are almost always transactional. Not always in the crude sense of exchanging money or favors, but in the deeper sense of mutual satisfaction and advantage. People stay where they feel they are gaining something, whether that gain is tangible or emotional. Remove that, and you will see how quickly absence replaces presence. The powerful have always understood this truth. Kings, princes, and merchants know that friendship without advantage is like a tree without water. It will stand for a time, but it will eventually wither. This is why they do not rely on sentiment to hold others close. Instead, they ensure that those around them continue to find profit, honor, or opportunity in staying loyal. In this way, even the warmth of companionship is sustained not by the fire of emotion, but by the steady fuel of shared interest. It is often said that a friend in need is a friend indeed. But even this adage contains an unspoken truth, that the need must be one the friend can fulfill without great cost to himself. Help that is effortless will come easily. Help that demands true sacrifice is far rarer than people wish to believe. Thus, the idea of a friend who stands with you purely out of love for your person is a romantic fantasy. If you wish to secure loyalty, you must attach it to benefit. This does not mean every friend you have is a parasite or opportunist. Rather, It means that even the most well-intentioned man will find his affections strained if the relationship brings him nothing and costs him much. The wise man does not mourn this truth, nor does he rage against it. He simply accepts it, and in accepting it, he learns to build relationships on a foundation that will endure. Instead of relying on the fragile cement of affection, he uses the strong stone of mutual gain. And in doing so, he ensures that his connections, whether warm or cold in tone, have the strength to weather the storms that destroy the friendships of more sentimental men. If you look closely, you will see this pattern everywhere. In the court of kings, in the marketplace, even in the quiet streets of ordinary life. Two merchants may appear to be friends, sharing drinks and laughter in the tavern, but it is the flow of business between them that truly binds them together. A nobleman may dine nightly with another, but it is the political advantage of their closeness that keeps the invitations flowing. Even the humble man who visits his neighbor each week often does so because there is something he receives: advice, help with work, companionship that he values. Remove that benefit, and the visits grow infrequent. Those who fail to recognize this live in constant disappointment, wondering why people seem to vanish when they are no longer useful. But the truth is, they were never gone. They were never yours to begin with in the way you imagined. You shared a path for a time because it suited you both, and when the path divided, each walked where the terrain best served them. The lesson is not to close your heart entirely, but to open your eyes. When you know the true nature of friendship, you stop expecting permanence from what is inherently conditional, and you begin to shape your relationships with deliberate intent rather than blind hope. Observe how friends behave when fortune shifts, when your life rises, when gold fills your purse, when influence flows through your hands, when your name is spoken with respect in the halls of power. You will see faces appear from every shadow. Men who once ignored you will remember your name with sudden warmth. Those who barely acknowledged your presence will now greet you as though you have been bound by blood since birth. Invitations will pour in. Glasses will be raised in your honor, and you will hear flattering words so sweet they could melt stone. But understand this, they are not toasting you. They are toasting what you represent. They are not drawn to your soul. They are drawn to the light of your fortune, for like moths, they seek the flame not because they love it, but because it glows. This is why the rich and powerful are rarely alone, not because their character inspires such loyalty, but because abundance draws company. When you can provide opportunities, introductions, and benefits, your circle grows thick with eager companions. They will fight to stand at your side, not for the pleasure of your company, but for the rewards proximity brings. In such moments, friendship is easy, for it costs them nothing to give and brings them much to gain. You will feel surrounded by loyalty, but in truth, you are surrounded by conditional loyalty, the kind that exists only as long as the wind of fortune blows in your favor. But fortune, as I have witnessed in courts and kingdoms alike, is the most unstable of allies. She is a temptress who can grant you the world in the morning and strip you bare by nightfall. And when she turns her back on you, the warmth you once felt from your friends will vanish with her. The invitations will stop arriving, the praise will grow silent, and the same people who once clung to your presence will now find reasons to avoid you. You will hear of gatherings you were not invited to, of plans made without your knowledge. Some will simply disappear, claiming they have been busy. Others will remain polite but distant, their eyes darting away when you remind them of the promises they once made. And yet, the most brutal truth is this. Not only will some friends vanish when your fortune declines, some will turn to greet your enemies. They will reason that you are no longer able to protect them or advance their position, so they must seek safety and gain elsewhere. In politics, this is common. In business, it is inevitable. Even in personal life, you will see it. Alliances shift like tides, flowing toward the strongest shore. This is not because people are inherently cruel, but because self-preservation is the deepest instinct in the human heart. When they believe standing by you will sink them, they will step away to save themselves. History is filled with examples. A ruler surrounded by loyal allies during victory finds himself alone in defeat. A wealthy merchant who once entertained half the city finds his house empty when debt consumes him. A general celebrated after triumph is abandoned after a single crushing loss. The same mouths that once praised them now whisper doubts, and the same hands that once embraced them now close into fists. And yet, when those same men rise again, when victory, wealth, or influence returns, the deserters reappear as if nothing happened, smiling as though their absence had been an illusion. If you are wise, you will watch closely during both your rise and your fall. In your rise, see who comes toward you, and in your fall, see who remains. For the measure of a man's loyalty is not how he treats you in your strength, but how he behaves in your weakness. But even here, you must not fall into sentimentality. Some who remain in your time of need may do so not out of love, but out of a calculation that you may one day rise again. And when you do, they will be positioned to reap the rewards of their patience. This is why fortune must be treated with caution. Her gift is not simply wealth or power, it is also the attention and devotion of others. But these gifts are laced with poison, for they are not truly yours. They belong to her. When she departs, she takes them with her. Those who follow you now may not be following you at all. They are following her shadow as it passes over you. The moment that shadow moves, they will drift toward wherever it now falls. Understanding this will not make you immune to disappointment, but it will make you immune to surprise. And in the realm of human dealings, that is a far greater defense than hope could ever provide. Never forget that the most dangerous man is not the one who openly declares himself your enemy, but the one who calls himself your friend while holding a hidden motive. An enemy confronts you directly. His intentions are visible, his hostility clear. You know where to aim your guard. But a friend, especially one who has turned against you in secret, can wound you in ways your enemies cannot. He knows your weaknesses, your private fears, the cracks in your armor that you have shown him in confidence. And when temptation whispers in his ear, be it the promise of wealth, the lure of power, or the desire for revenge, he will know exactly where to strike. A friend's betrayal is always sharper than an enemy's attack because it comes from a place you believed was safe. The gates you would never open for an enemy, you throw wide for a friend. You invite him inside your home, your mind, your heart. You share victories and failures with him. You reveal strategies, ambitions, and secrets you guard from others. In doing so, you give him weapons, unwittingly placed into his hands, that he can turn against you if ever his loyalty wavers. An enemy must guess at your vulnerabilities. A false friend already knows them. History offers endless warnings. Kings have been toppled not by invading armies, but by their closest advisors. Generals have been betrayed by men they once called brothers in arms. Merchants have been ruined by partners they trusted with every coin. And the reason is always the same. When personal gain outweighs personal loyalty, the friend becomes the enemy, and his betrayal is swift. It is not always out of hatred, often it is cold calculation. Men convince themselves they are simply doing what is necessary for survival or advancement, and your ruin becomes merely a step on their path. The smile is the perfect disguise for a blade. While an enemy's scowl alerts you to danger, a friend's warm expression disarms you. He may praise your every move, stand at your side during public triumphs, and even defend you against others, all while nurturing thoughts of his own advantage. When the moment comes, he will not need to fight his way into your life. He is already there. The most devastating strikes are not made with force, but with access. And no one has more access to you than the person you believe you can trust without question. But do not misunderstand. This is not a call to treat every friend as a traitor in waiting. It is a call to be vigilant, to trust slowly, and to test constantly. A ruler does not simply grant a man authority, because he speaks well, he watches how he acts when given small responsibilities, how he responds to minor temptations, how he behaves when he thinks no one is watching. In the same way, you must measure those around you, not by their words in times of plenty, but by their actions in times of scarcity. You must also understand that betrayal is not always immediate or intentional. A friend may not plan your downfall from the first day you meet. Instead, it may begin with small compromises. He makes a choice that harms you a little but benefits him greatly. At first, he may justify it, telling himself it was necessary and that it changes nothing between you. But over time, these small steps lead him further down a path where your well-being becomes secondary to his own ambition. By the time you realize what has happened, the damage may already be done. The wise man keeps his heart guarded even in friendship. He may enjoy the warmth of companionship, but he never forgets the potential for treachery. He shares enough to build bonds, but keeps certain knowledge to himself. He allows closeness, but never dependence. For when dependence forms, you give another man the power to control you. And if he chooses to abuse that power, you will have no defense. In this way, you learn to navigate friendship with the same caution you use in politics or war. You do not assume loyalty. You verify it. You do not blind yourself with sentiment. You keep your vision clear. And above all, you remember that the man who stands nearest to you has the best view of your back, and therefore, the easiest opportunity to strike if ever his heart or his fortunes turn against you. Men like to believe in the noble idea of sacrifice, that a friend will stand before danger for their sake, will take the blow meant for them, will risk all to protect them. Poets write of it, philosophers praise it, and storytellers fill the ears of children with tales of loyalty, so pure it defies death itself. But in the world I have lived in, both in the palaces of the powerful and the streets of the common man, I have learned that such acts are rare. Rarer than gold in a beggar's purse. It is not that men are incapable of sacrifice, that the instinct to protect oneself is far stronger than the will to protect another. When the choice is between their well-being and yours, most will quietly, and without hesitation, choose themselves. In moments of comfort and abundance, a friend may promise you anything. He will swear that he would stand beside you in the gravest of dangers, that he would defend you when the world turns against you. These promises cost him nothing to speak, for they are made in the safety of calm waters. But life does not test loyalty when the sun is shining. It tests it when the storm arrives. And when the storm does come, you will see how many of those promises were spoken from the heart and how many were spoken from the mouth alone. When a friend is called to sacrifice, truly sacrifice, what does that mean? It means enduring loss, risking reputation, forfeiting opportunity, or even placing themselves in harm's way. These are heavy prices to pay, and most men will hesitate before paying them. If your misfortune offers them nothing in return, if defending you will damage their position, their wealth, or their safety, the temptation to step back becomes overwhelming. They will tell themselves that they are powerless to help, or that the matter does not truly concern them, or that it is wiser for them to wait until the danger has passed. You will hear phrases like, "I wish I could do more," or "must think of my own family." These words are not lies. They are the truth of self-preservation speaking plainly. This is why the illusion of mutual sacrifice is so dangerous. If you expect that others will stand for you simply because you would stand for them, you are building your trust upon sand. Men are not bound by sentiment, they are bound by benefit. If standing with you serves their interest or aligns with their goals, they will be steadfast. If it does not, their resolve will falter. This is not cruelty. It is calculation. The same calculation you must learn if you wish to protect yourself from disappointment and ruin. The powerful understand this instinctively. A ruler does not keep men loyal through affection alone. He binds them with rewards, with positions of advantage, with promises that are too valuable to risk losing. By ensuring that helping him always brings benefit, He transforms loyalty from act of charity into an act of self-interest. This is the foundation upon which enduring alliances are built. When a man sees that his gain is tied to your survival, he will protect you not because he loves you, but because he cannot afford to see you fall. And in truth, this form of loyalty, born of necessity, often lasts longer than loyalty born of emotion. You must also recognize that the idea of sacrifice is not equally tempting to all men. Some are more capable of risk, more willing to endure hardship, but they too have limits. Even the bravest ally will reconsider his position if your downfall seems inevitable. He may remain with you for a time, but if staying by your side means sinking with you, his survival instincts will scream at him to let go. The moment a man believes that his loyalty will cost him everything, you will see how thin the veil of devotion can be. Therefore, to navigate this truth, you must make your alliances in such a way that sacrifice is never truly a loss for those who stand with you. You must tie their prosperity, their safety, and their future to your own. In this way, when the day of testing comes, they will choose to endure the hardship with you not out of noble sentiment, but out of the knowledge that their own survival depends on it. And while the poets may sneer at such practicality, the wise man knows that this is how loyalty survives in a world where self-preservation is the law written deepest into the hearts of men. The wise man does not rely on the fragile thread of friendship to secure his position in life. He builds alliances rooted in mutual necessity. Friendship, in the way most people imagine it, is an emotional bond, warm, comforting, and often without clear terms. But emotion is the most unstable foundation upon which to place your security. Feelings shift with mood, with circumstance, with the changing winds of fortune. What today is deep affection can tomorrow be indifference, and what tomorrow is indifference can become hostility when interests collide. An alliance, however, is different. It is not built upon how one feels, but upon what one gains. It is a structure of shared benefit, bound by the reality that both parties need each other to protect what they value. When you build an alliance, you strip away the illusions. You do not pretend the bond exists for its own sake. You acknowledge openly or silently that it exists because both of you stand to gain from its survival. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. A merchant joins with another to dominate a market, not because they share a fondness for each other's company, but because together they can outmatch their rivals. A ruler joins with another ruler not because they admire each other's virtues, but because their combined armies deter enemies. In such arrangements, loyalty is not a gift. It is a necessity. The beauty of alliances lies in their resilience. An emotional friendship can crumble when one person feels slighted, when jealousy takes root, or when life takes you in separate directions. But an alliance endures so long as the benefits remain. Even two men who despise each other personally may remain steadfast partners if abandoning the relationship would mean losing power, wealth, or safety. In this way, alliances often outlast even the warmest friendships, for they are shielded by necessity from the storms that sentiment cannot withstand. You must learn to think as a ruler thinks. When a ruler chooses his closest advisors, he does not simply choose the ones who flatter him most or share his personal tastes. He chooses those whose fortunes are tied directly to his own. In doing so, he ensures that their loyalty is reinforced by their own self-interest. If his rule falls, they fall with him. If his influence grows, they grow with him. This bond is far stronger than any formed by affection alone, for it makes betrayal costly. When turning against you means turning against themselves, even the most ambitious will think twice. This is not to say you should be cold and without warmth toward those around you. Affection can sweeten an alliance, making cooperation smoother and trust easier. But affection must never be the sole thread holding the relationship together. The thread must be wound tightly with cords of advantage, opportunity, and mutual dependence. This way, even if the affection weakens, the structure remains intact because it is built on something deeper than feeling. In personal life, This principle applies as much as it does in politics or commerce. Consider those you call your closest allies, not in the sentimental sense, but in the strategic one. Ask yourself, what do they gain from your strength, and what do you gain from theirs? If the answer is nothing, or if all the gain flows in one direction, the bond is fragile and will break when pressure is applied. But if the gain flows both ways, if your success is tied to theirs and theirs to yours, then you have built something that can endure the harshest trials. The danger of seeking true friends, in the romantic sense, is that you begin to measure loyalty by words and emotions rather than by actions and incentives. You hear someone swear they will stand by you, and you take it as truth, forgetting that in the real world, the strongest oaths are written not in sentiment, but in necessity. A wise man creates conditions in which standing by him is the most profitable and sensible choice for others. He does not wait for affection to keep him safe. He builds a framework in which those around him cannot afford to let him fall. Such alliances do not appear by chance, they are forged. They require careful cultivation, deliberate exchange, and the discipline to ensure that the bond always carries value for both sides. This may mean sharing resources, granting access to opportunities, or aligning your goals so closely that separation becomes unthinkable. It is work, and it is strategy. But it is also the surest way to ensure that when the day of trial comes, you are not left standing alone in the ruins, wondering why friendship was not enough to save you in the end. The truth about friendship is not meant to strip your life of connection, but to strip your mind of illusion. You have seen that most bonds are born from interest, that fortune draws people like moths to a flame and scatters them just as quickly when it fades, that the smile can hide the sharpest dagger, that sacrifice is rarer than the poets would have you believe, and that the only ties that endure are those bound by mutual necessity. This knowledge is not meant to make you bitter. It is meant to make you wise. When you stop expecting permanence from the temporary, when you stop resting your security on the frailty of sentiment, you begin to see the world as it truly is. And in seeing it clearly, you arm yourself with the power to choose your allies with precision, to protect yourself from betrayal, and to build relationships that will hold firm when the storms come. For the man who understands the lie of friendship is no longer its victim. He becomes its master.